Welcome back, everyone. I'm Dr. Foojan Zeine, and I'm excited to have Kelli Calabrese with me. She empowers women to overcome fear, rejection, and grief following divorce so they can create a fabulous bonus life they can be excited about. For 35 years, she's been a fitness, nutrition, wellness, and lifestyle coach and entrepreneur. She's appeared on all of the major networks, written 3 best-selling books, and spoke on international stages. After an excruciating, painful divorce, she became certified as a divorce coach and takes a spirit, mind, body approach to whole life well-being for her. But today, we're going to actually talk about her latest book, Success Habits of Superachievers. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Dr. Foojan. It's just a pleasure to be here.
So your books are about other people's experiences and the best of them, and you bring the best of them out. So first share, how come you taking that route?
That's a great question. You know what? Life has struggle in it. And a lot of us are just not prepared for it. We're not really taught to be resilient, but nobody has the life that they thought they would have. You know, we all have this dream or vision about how things are going to be, and difficulty comes along the way. So the book really tells the stories about ordinary people, just like you and I and your listeners, that something extraordinarily difficult happened to. And they chose to get back up again and to become resilient and to do something with that. And not only for themselves, but they used it for the greater good. So really the idea of the book is to give hope to people, because they will read one of those stories, if not multiple stories, and connect with that and say, wow, if that person can overcome that thing, then I can get up and face my day and overcome the things that I need to.
So going through your 3 books, talking to a lot of people as a coach, as a wellness coach, and a divorce coach, which is most every single human being that I've ever known who's gone through a divorce, even if they chose it, even if they said they're the one who wanted a divorce, they go through a rough time. And what is it that you have found that is a key for people that they could get up and shift what is happening to them?
Yeah, so resilience, it's interesting because when something happens to you and you get knocked down, you go through these stages and you don't go through them linearly. It's not like you go from anger to depression to, it's kind of, you get triggered, and people handle things differently depending on how they're wired and their background and their beliefs. And so they get stuck and stopped in different places, like bitterness. That was a place where I was stuck because I did all the right things and this wasn't supposed to happen to me. And so eventually you have to get to a place where you're willing to hold up the mirror and look at, who am I really? What am I aligning my self-worth with, my identity with? And if it's things of the world that are really fleeting, even as the title of a wife or a mom or a boss, the shoes you wear, the car you drive, the neighborhood you live in, if you're aligning your life with external material things, that could all go away in a moment. So you really need to know who you are on a heart level. So one of the first things I do is help to work with them on their identity. And then the second thing is forgiveness, because unforgiveness and defensiveness and just all those ugly things that come out of a hurt heart is what you're going to project in the world when things get tough. So we want to make sure the things that are inside you resonate the most with love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, gentleness, self-control, so that when things get tough, that's what comes out of you and you don't get knocked down and stay down again. But you get to a place where, like, you know what? It's not worth me losing my peace. I'm not going to hold a grudge over that or stay depressed anymore. My time here is too short, and I don't want to spend more time being sad and depressed. So identity and forgiveness are 2 of the things that I start working with them on immediately.
So when we're talking about something happening, and the part of the first thing that is in front of us is a part of grief, and you're absolutely right that people don't go through a particular way through grief. People have different versions of grief. And I'm also hearing you say that the identity of a person can become the grief itself, or they can get caught into it should have been and it's not, and then get caught into the aspect of why is it this way, or why is it me, or making a lot of belief systems about, you know, the bigger picture. I remember for when I went through my divorce, it was more like it wasn't about this relationship, and it wasn't about the grief of the relationship, because I think the grief of the relationship had gone to the point of me making a decision to get a divorce. But it was more like a grief of the idea that, you know, that you have as a society, as when you're growing up, and, you know, it's like foreverness with this concept, and breaking that idea, and then having, you know, and staying in somehow like the hopelessness of it, of, oh, if I break the idea, if this just isn't the way, then what is the way? And I think that when the identity gets caught into our own beliefs, that's where we also get caught. And I'm hearing part of your work is shifting that identity, however it was with the set of the belief system that we created, and moving along to something, to do belief systems that are workable for us and are new and open, versus the closed circuits that we had that got us there, in a sense.
Yes, that makes sense. It is normal to feel like a failure when you have gone through a divorce. So the person who asks to leave, they typically feel a lot of guilt for breaking up their family and even shame. The person who's left deals with severe rejection because the person they went to the altar with, left them, and you just never expect that to happen. Even if you can look back and say, yeah, well, we really weren't happy, and it kind of was a slow fade, and we were just limping along till death do us part. And there's so many different reasons that people get divorced. It doesn't have to be, infidelity. It could be a lot of other things, communication, money, but it's still a grief. It is a death of sorts, where you're taking two souls and two lives and separating them that were brought together so intimately. So we all want to be unconditionally loved, and no one person can give us that deep unconditional love that we all desire. In fact, a group of people can't even give us all the love that we desire, to be loved for who we are. And that's what we're really seeking. That's why the self-love is so important, because we shouldn't be rejecting ourselves. We're so self-critical. And a good sign of someone who's self-critical is when they criticize other people, because again, what's inside them is what comes out of them. So it is important to hold up the mirror and really look at, okay, it wasn't 100% him and 0% me. What is it in me that I need to fix now? And I certainly don't want to take into the next relationship. So for me, I was an enabler, big time. I became a control freak because he was pretty irresponsible and foolish. So I got in the other ditch and became so responsible and so controlling. I was a perfectionist. I didn't realize it, but I was. I thankfully worked through all those things, and I will never bring them into the future relationship, or even just for myself. It's not a way to live in a healthy way.
So the self-awareness that happens, and looking at, not from a judgmental place toward ourselves, but actually looking at ourselves from a loving place, and seeing what is it that I had created, what types of behaviors, emotions, thought process I had delivered in this life so that I got this result, or co-created the result, at least from my side. And looking at those habits, and then shifting and kind of like shedding them when it doesn't work out. And then looking at coming back with love, loving myself, honoring myself, what's working, and putting those to use to come back and creating another set of a success, habitual behaviors in order to create the success.
Yes. So that one of the things I work with my clients with, usually one of the first things, is what I call a to-don't list. So what is it that you need to stop doing? What are you willing to commit to that you know that you're doing now, that if you stopped it, things would start to get better? You'd start to take those baby steps towards improvement. And a lot of times they're kindergarten things. You shouldn't be drinking a bottle of wine every night. So are you willing to drink half a bottle? Or you shouldn't be staying up all night binging on Netflix and sleeping till 2 o'clock. I mean, start somewhere. Like, let's stop the things that put you in that place of just, spiraling downhill to the lowest level of the world is happening to me, and there's nothing I can do. So creating that to don't listen, getting them to commit starts to build momentum to now you start to feel better. Your whole life will respond to good choices. Now you can start adding in good things. So from self-talk to using affirmations to changing the, dysfunction of how you see your physical body, the words you speak over yourself, to empower yourself and just get a handle on you are responsible for everything in your life. At this moment, it's based on the thoughts, the decisions, the beliefs, the actions that you've had. So let's get present, let's breathe, and then let's start to create a future you can get excited about.
Mm-hmm. And how do you sense the person in your experience and in your book with all the wonderful people who have contributed to it? There's a space where someone shifts from, let's say, their grief. There's a space where, they got caught into wow, and the kind of like a break, and then a shift to what you're talking about. What do you think supports people to go through that shift at that moment? Because you've got a surprise of something, or not even a surprise, like now you have to face this result, and to the next level, which is honoring yourself, putting the habits, looking at things and moving forward. There's a motivational piece in there. There's a shift that happens. What is your experience based on talking to your clients and people who are contributing to your book? When that
Yes. Yeah, so the lowest level being the victim and the highest level being love on an energy scale, because we can measure that. We're alive, we're energy, we have a vibration. The tipping point between the lowest levels of just darkness, depression, sadness, guilt, anger, all of that, and the highest levels is courage. So it's having the confidence to get back up again. When you've been knocked down 10 times, get up the 11th time. It's having that resilience to not catastrophize and not just think of the dark side of everything, but to change your body language, breathe, get present, pull your shoulders back, pull your head up high, walk into the room like you're supposed to be there, go in with gratitude, humble yourself. Track your growth. Just notice the little things like, okay, I was a little more courageous, or I didn't cry today, or, I did something to move in the right direction. Gratitude really is a superpower. When I was going through my divorce, I committed to filling a page of my notebook every single night with gratitude before I went to bed. And it started really mechanical, like, well, I took my vitamins today, I walked the dog today, but then it got to a place where I was going throughout my day really looking for things to be grateful for. Like, wow, my neighbor brought me a bowl of soup. Oh my goodness, I got to be on Dr. Foojan's podcast today. Not everyone gets to do that. And my daughter called me today, and I just started going throughout the day tracking because I knew I was going to write it down. And it just changed to the point where things started coming to me that was just ridiculous. People started inviting me out and because I opened up that flow of receiving good things. When you're down, that's what you attract. When you're a victim, you're going to attract victim people. When you're gossiping, you're going to attract gossipy people. So when you turn it around to gratitude, it just gets this whole flow of giving and receiving going, and it helps you to get over the struggle because you're putting one foot in front of the other and you're building momentum on success after success after success. And then you get to a point where things are not a big deal anymore. Where, for again, using the example of divorce, when I would go out on a Sunday, I felt like all I saw was couples and families. And I could just break out crying like, oh my goodness, how did this happen to me? I'm all alone. I'm so sad. So I stayed home for a bunch of Sundays until I could feel good. And I started to look forward to Sundays where I was like, wow, I'm going to, sit in the yard. I'm going to walk around the lake. I'm going to ride my bike. I'm going to do a little spa day. Just started to care for myself and eventually go out on Sundays. And I don't even notice couples now. In fact, I'm probably looking for a handsome man if I'm out looking right now. So I don't get sad. And if I see a couple, I just like, bless them. I hope they make it. I hope they're happy. And I keep going.
When you were talking, it brought this concept for me where we take everything for granted during the day. Many things, just getting up and, I have a roof on top of my head and the tornado hasn't kicked it out. or I have hot water. You know, I have electricity. There are a lot of things that we take for granted. And as you were talking about your gratitude list, it just seems like when you start really looking at every single thing that is given to us or we created for ourselves, or, you know, it's a combination of what we created and others created in our life and brought it together and then recite it, look at it, then we do feel grateful with a lot of things we just weren't looking at and either thought that it should be there already, which, you know, when you look at around the world, a lot of the things that I think, you know, at the luxury level, it should be, it's not out there for everyone. So this concept of the gratitude and living in that space consistently brings that courage that we were talking about of, okay, what do you need to get up? It's like the courage, and then how do you get the courage is also what you were sharing about how to put your attention in all the great stuff that are out there and great stuff that you have, the skills you have already inside of you, where you can actually go back, pull it up, and, you know, cherish it and use it and bring it up, and you know, for everyone. So that's beautiful. So part of the, when you talk about your book, Success Habits of Superachiever, when you talk about the habits, can you let us know what are the habits? One of them was the gratitude list and consistently living gratitude. What else can you share with us?
Yes, there are definitely some themes in over 80 stories told in that book that successful people do consistently. One of them is a great morning routine. So for me, I get up 2 hours before my first appointment. And that whole 2 hours is meant for self-care, for setting my day up for success, spiritually, physically, mentally, emotionally, professionally, in every single way. So I don't get out of bed until I do 5 minutes of gratitude. And then within minutes of waking up, I've got positive music on. I'm making the little drink that I make in the morning. I have hot water with lemon. And then I'm doing cardio every morning. I've got a positive message on. It's a sermon or some podcast that's really uplifting and inspirational, informational. I'm doing my weights, yoga. So I have at least an hour of exercise every morning, sometimes more. I get outside and I have a lake near my house. So I do get out there in nature and just, speak to myself. I'm strong, I'm powerful, all those affirmations work. I do take a nice shower, and whether I have appointments or not, I'm going to put on some makeup and get dressed and get out of the sweatpants. And then I have a list that I work from. What are the most urgent, important things that if I do these things today, that will really help to tip the scales for me? And I also leave open space every day for the opportunity to take a phone call, to talk to a neighbor, whatever it might be. I don't book my day back to back. I like to leave a little bit of space in there. And then I have boundaries on my day where I'm not going to have technology on at 10 o'clock at night or even 9 o'clock at night. And I talk to my mom every day or a friend. And then I have an evening routine where I really leave awake, where I take my day and I'm tapering down. So the stimulation is cutting down and I'm really getting quiet and centered and in a purposeful, meditative space so that I can be open to being vulnerable and really just evaluating what went well about my day. And then, a night care routine. I'm not a big, spa high maintenance person, but, wash your face, put some lotion on and put some lavender oil and, have your bedroom set up like a spa and just feel like a princess going to sleep. And I do journal and read every night. So the morning and the evening routines are important because whatever happens in the middle, you're already set up for success.
We have about 1 minute left. Is there anything we haven't shared yet and you really want people to know?
Well, there's so much, but I would say the barometer that I use to live my life with, and I hope that everyone would, is to let love win. So that's always the lens that I'm looking through, where any decision that I make, I want the highest possible good, the most excellence in every situation. And what's in us does come out of us. So if people would lead with love, then there would be more peace and joy and happiness in the world.
Beautiful. One of the things I took on also is like telling my body, I love you. I have never done that before. And this past couple of weeks, it's been like, I keep looking at, you know how like infants look at their own hands and go like,
Yes.
It's been interesting. It's been like, oh, I'm connecting to you and actually like realizing that how important you are, which is a whole new space for me, at least to be. And I really like it. So I really encourage other people to also give that love to themselves vocally, like stating it, looking at their body and vocally saying it to themselves. I think it creates a whole different way of connection with your body.
Yes.
So
Beautiful.
much, Kelly, for taking the time and being on the show.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I'm happy to be here. Thank you so much for bringing this show to the world. It's great content.
Kelli Calabrese for everyone, Success Habits of Super Achievers. You can get that book anywhere, or you can go to her website, kellycalabrese.com, and then you can see it. It's at the bottom of, it's the link is there to see. But for all of you who are listening to us, KellyCalabrese.com. Anything, last words?
Yes, they could actually get a free copy of the ebook at the website that you gave, Kelly@kellycalabrese.com. And if they want to email me, I would love to hear from your listeners and viewers. It's Kelly@kellycalabrese.com. I respond to every single email. If there's something they heard today that inspired them or some challenge they're having, I would love to hear from them, and I will get back to them.
Beautiful. Everyone out there, create an amazing life for yourself and everyone around you. And until next week, bye-bye.
Togetherness Media. Togethernessmedia.com